Welcome to the Finance Geeks podcast with Paul Cleworth and Warren Shute. Two financial planners shoot the breeze while sharing tips for making the most of your money that might just transform the way you look at your finances. And now over to the geeks in the studio. But they are not in a studio. They are geeks in their own office.
Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Finance Geeks podcast. Thanks for joining us. My name is Warren Shute. I'm here joined by the wonderful
Paul Cleworth.
And today we're talking about all things financial well-being. So it's going to be a great show. Please stay tuned, particularly to the end when Paul's got some wonderful quotes for you, as always. So Paul, before we dive into financial well-being, what have you been up to?
So it's been half term last week. So I was off with my kids and did a couple of things. Went climbing, went to Legoland. Rory and Miles 12, Rory's 9. Our 9-year-old doesn't get quite as much as Miles because Miles goes karting and gets all of that. So we took Rory to Legoland and decided out of a bit of guilt to buy him the Home Alone Lego set, which is enormous. And I've been doing it last night with him. It's really quite fun.
It's awesome.
So you're going to watch it. He likes the film and stuff. And the other thing I've been doing is
before we dive in, the Home Alone Lego set. So what is it?
So it's nearly 4,000 pieces. It is the house that Kevin McAllister's dad has, if you like, the house where there's the young kids left in, and you get the little van, which is where the two plumbers, the characters, they're in, and it says OK Plumbing on the side of it, and you've got them with the crowbars and stuff. And then in the house, it's got the decorations, all the Christmas decorations, the track, the things that light up. You know, it's really quite fun because you're building this. It opens from the inside, and you can get into it and see things. It's like a big doll's house, really. But it's even got the sled that you put at the top of the stairs. So when Kevin McAllister goes down the stairs on his sled. So my youngest Ollie
loved Lego. Yeah, that's great. That's cool. Sorry, I jumped in. You carry on.
Well, we've running out of places to put Lego because my son now wants us to hang things from the ceiling. So I've got a TIE bomber and an X-wing fighter and some other random Ninjago thing held from fishing wire from the ceiling in his bedroom. And there's so many other sets in there that our cleaner sort of really hates it because they get so much dust on them, and they become ornaments everywhere. But it keeps them occupied, keeps them happy. We get some music on. Last night we had a sort of 80s, mega mix, if you like, and so they enjoyed that while we did an hour, 45 minutes before bed. So the second thing I've been doing is I went for a suit fitting. Yeah, my third fitting yesterday. So my sister's getting married in August. I've decided I'm old enough now in my late 40s to go and have a proper suit fitted. I winced at the price when he first told me, and I thought, I've got to follow through now and actually have a proper tailor-made suit. And so it's 3-piece suit and a tie and a shirt and a pair of shoes. And so, and then they make you buy. No, they make you buy. You end up deciding to buy another jacket and some more shirts because when you go for your third fitting and it's all fitting correctly and it feels good, you think, oh yeah, why do I go to Marks and Spencer's to get me shirts when I could pay £275 for a shirt? Why pay less? Anyway,
I'm sure you look lovely. It's a special occasion too, right? You want to memorize that.
It is. Right? Yeah, that's it. So I'm looking forward to that in August. That's going to be good. She's she's only going to get. I was going to say only get married once. Let's hope.
Is it in the UK?
It's in Scotland, in Dunbar. Yeah, other side of Edinburgh. Wow. So we're going to drive up
Lovely.
The family, staying over for a bit, a couple of days beforehand, and then
nice. That would be great. That'd
weddings.
Be really nice. I like weddings like that. I do like weddings. The gathering of all the family and the people and stuff like that, and making memories. It'd be great. Great for the kids as well.
You've been on half term as well, I believe. What have you been up to for your last week or two?
A bit of golf. Been out playing a bit of golf. Getting back into golf. I played great game yesterday. I was very proud of my performance, which was good. And then on Wednesday, I took my daughter down to Exeter to look at the uni down there. She's considering Exeter as a choice. And it was a real aha moment because she was going to do marine biology. She dropped biology and took other sciences for a whole plethora of reasons. But we were looking around business courses and business environment, this sort of stuff. And she was engaging, but she wasn't really fired up. And we had this course selection. We had a presentation on environmental skills or something. And I said, do you really want to go to that? She said, well, let's go and see what it's about. So we went over and there was a young girl there, just graduated doing marine biology.
Right.
And she spoke. And I just saw Bella, my daughter, just light up with enthusiasm, excitement. Don't get me wrong. She was talking about diving and turtles and snorkeling and all the stuff that you want to hear as a 17-year-old girl. but she just got really enthusiastic. I welled up. I got really quite emotional.
Oh.
I did. And I just sort of said to her, I put my arm around her. I said, you don't want to do business, do you? She goes, well, I thought it would be a good subject to do. And I said, but you want to do marine biology.
Yeah.
So we went over to admissions, got all that sorted out, and she's got some grade targets to hit on physics and things. She should do physics.
Be able to get into the course.
Get into the course, yeah. And so we're just putting a plan together to help her make sure she gets it.
Yeah.
Problem is, she finds business very, very natural. I won't say easy, but natural, whereas she has to work at the sciences. But do you know what? We make them pay for it. So she's paying for it. Yeah. She's going to come out there. It's her career. It's her life. We just want to be able to support her. But yeah, it was a fantastic experience to see her really light up.
Hey, my youngest, Rory, I saw him trying on his own to tie his lace, because we've been trying to get him to tie lace. He's a bit late on the uptake on this, but I saw him. He was crying about it a couple of weeks ago, so he couldn't do it. Oh. And then just the other day, I saw him on his own practicing, and I was really proud because he did get it recently, but just seeing them try on their own and knowing that they probably need to learn how to do this, I was really impressed with him.
Self-motivation. That's really what you want to instill in them, right?
That's
self-motivation.
He didn't give up. He just kept going. And it is tricky. I'm not being funny. It's fiddly, isn't it? Still struggle now.
It is real fiddly. Yeah. And then you get my age and you wear slip-ons.
This is it. Can't be bothered anymore. Double knot. Yeah. It's where you haven't seen your feet in a few years and you're thinking, you're getting old when it takes you a lot of effort to put your socks on or take them off. That's when you know you're getting a bit old. Yeah. You're thinking, come on.
Are you flexible?
Do you know one of the things I did see online the other day? I'm super flexible. I can touch my toes. I'll show you now, but we're on a I can't see it. Can't stand it. One of the things I can do that I would implore any of our listeners to try and do, and it's probably for people sub 50, is you have to put your shoes on the floor and your socks inside your shoes, and then you stand behind them and you have to lean over on one leg and pick up a sock, and you have to put on the sock without lifting one leg up, and the sock that's the leg that's lifted up, you put your sock on. So you've got to be able to put that sock on, then down, then do the other, and then lift your shoe up and put your shoe up and tie the lace, all while balancing on one leg. Then you do the other leg. And if you can do that, but all of that without falling over, it shows that you've got some reasonable balance and cool legs.
I got images. Okay, so listeners, we have a chap called Vince who's outstanding, and he does all our video editing. I've got images of Vince now trying this in his office while listening to this back. Come on, Vince, did you do it? Tell us.
Yeah, this is it. Should we get on with it?
Let's get on with it. So, Main focal point today, financial well-being. Now, we've had a pre-show chat about this, okay? And we come at it from different angles. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, cool. Which is good. Which is what we want the listener. We don't want you to think that we're just planning everything and agreeing on everything. It's really our views on what we think about different things. So why don't you start? Because it's fair to say you are more of an advocate for financial well-being.
I am. I like what it stands for. I like the concept of it. I'm not sure, as you mentioned there, that the terminology is a little can be a little bit wishy-washy, if you like, a bit twee. But I think that when I consider what it is that I do for clients, it's I've always said I help clients make smart choices with their money. And so the concept of financial well-being is all about the relationship between happiness and money. And there are different institutions, if you like, and organizations that define the concept of financial well-being differently. So, for example, the Money and Pension Service basically defines financial well-being. It says it's a feeling about security and control. It's about making the most of your money day to day, dealing with the unexpected, and being on track for a healthy financial future. In short, financially resilient, confident, and empowered. And
can I jump in?
Yes, do so.
The challenge I've got with it, and I understand what you're saying, is when things are published, it's natural for us to believe it's true. And what you've got there is an association, a body, government body, as a Quagan, whatever you call them, off the FCA, and you've got some employee there been tasked with coming up with this strapline. It might be done as a committee or whatever. And the challenge you've got is, does that person have financial well-being themselves? Are they an authoritarian for us to say, okay, you've researched this and this is an evidence-based approach? And that's the controversial bit for me. It's like, they have these definitions, and you can have listeners out there think, okay, I now need to try and adhere to that definition, and therefore I will have financial well-being.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do. And I would like to think, it being a reasonably big government body, that they've put some effort into trying to define what it is. I earlier this year did the course on the Institute of Financial Wellbeing. It was a 12-week course, and
What?
There was a lot.
12 weeks.
There was huge amounts of effort and work, and lots. It was all online, and it's actually, I learned a lot from it. But there were things in there that I thought, I don't do it quite the same as that, because what I was doing is comparing my experience of working with clients over 25 years nearly, with what they were telling me. This is what you should be doing, and I was like, yeah, but I don't do it that way. I don't talk to clients in the same way. One of the things I did agree with is that some of the concepts, like for one of the things they say on their site is that money in itself doesn't make us happy. It's how we use it that matters. They talk about the relationship, as they say, between your what money means to you, what you can do with it, and how you define your own happiness and well-being. So I think that what I do talk to my clients about is their relationship with money. Are they spenders? Are they savers? Do they believe in living the sort of hedonistic lifestyle today, or are they going to push off some of their happiness till tomorrow, or a bit of both? There are some people that I work with, the same with you, that worry constantly about money and not having enough. They're constantly looking at their portfolio, thinking it will change by looking at it, day to day, concerned about what it says in the news, concerned about what markets are doing. And I think that over time, one of the things I try to educate my clients on, and a lot of them successfully, is their relationship with their investments and their money and so forth. And it should be the case that after a while, they're just saying, just get on with it. We know what we've got. We understand what we've got. You do that and we'll live our life.
No, I agree. For me, it's very much about finding out what's important to them. So I have some clients who like to be completely involved. They enjoy the process. Typically when they retire, they've got a bit more time on their hands. But I'll send them out a trust deed or something. They'll read through it and we'll go back on the wording on it.
Yeah.
As opposed to other clients who just want to delegate that information to me and just trust we're going to do a good job. So I tend to work with the client on where they're at and what's important to them. And this financial well-being definition, I believe, is so different for everyone. I think we can all probably agree that ultimately all we really want is happiness. And what does happiness mean to us? That's really what I try and do with my clients.
But money means different things to different people, and I think we can agree that it's a tool, to buy things and have experiences. But it also is a very emotive subject, and it brings problems. I think financial well-being, and this is what I've said in a video that we're doing a whole video review of these financial well-being videos and videos on the concept of overall well-being. I've defined it as saying, I think financial well-being is about feeling secure and in control. I believe that. I think you have to feel that you've got some level of security, enough money, and you know what's going on, and you've got the control over what comes in and what goes out. And it's about making... Yeah, go on, Karen. Go on.
I agree, but not so much control that it's boring. Does that make sense? So you'll have some people listening who think, well, actually, if I've got so much control over everything what I'm doing, I'll be bored out of my mind. I want a bit of environment. I want a bit of excitement. Do you have those clients that say to you, hey, Warren, or hey, Paul, I know your investment process, but it works and it's good. I like it, but it's a bit boring. Can't I? And you'll do it. It's true.
Well, they might not say it directly like that because, but I get... I get your point. No, I preempt that and I say to them, look, investing and pensions are boring. Let's talk about what you actually do with your money. I'm very clear not to judge the client. I say to them, my job is not to judge you and tell you that you need to do this and you should do that. I think that it's to try and give you ideas, to tell you the pros and cons of each and to help guide your decision.
Let me wrap up that certainty. You said about everything, being certain on things. I just sort of think sometimes too much certainty can be boring. So we have a plan that hopefully will deliver an outcome, and then we allow them some sort of variety around the outside that will give them that spontaneity to their life.
Yeah. Well, I agree. It's got to be interesting, and you're right. You don't want to have too many things written down. You can overplan, you can over strategize, and you can sort of say, well, can I afford that? Does that make sense? Is that going to make me happy? I think it's about making the most of your money day to day, but it's also dealing with the unexpected and being on track for a healthy financial future. I mean, the concept of financial planning is planning for, this point in the future to have sufficient money so you don't need to work. And I found this podcast from Morgan Housel recently, which really resonated with me. And he said it in his books. We all see the world through a certain lens, through our own experiences and what we do. And one of the things when he said that, actually, we've got to be aware of all the things we don't know, because you judge everything from politics to the news to finance to your relationship with your neighbors and your family, all through your experience. We've got to be aware that's such a tiny, tiny percentage of what the world actually how it works.
There's a phrase saying the map is not the territory. And what it means basically is, what you're looking at is not reality. It's just your interpretation of reality.
And that's that. You just mentioned the point earlier on that online, when you see a study from a reputable organization that says this is how we define this, some people would look at it and take it as read that is the definition, that there's no other definition. I like you, I want to question it. And I think if there is more empirical research about something, or if you read about it on multiple sites, especially if it's not factual, it's not like saying the personal allowance is 12,570. We know that's the case. The tax rate is this is how this works. There are certain things that are subjective, and you have to look into them and say, that's what I was doing when I was on the course. I was saying, okay, I'm learning, but do I believe this? Because I can only sell to my clients, or at least advise on the basis of what I believe myself. Otherwise you're trying to project onto someone what you think the truth is, or what you think, this is what someone else said it is, or how it works.
So how do they define financial well-being?
Well, let's talk about the biggest body, I suppose, on this, the Institute of Financial Wellbeing. I've said that there are 5 parts to financial well-being. So, and I've differentiated this, and we'll talk about mine in a second. But they've said that you need a clear path to identifiable objectives. You need control of your daily finances, ability to cope with financial shocks. You need to having financial options, and then the last one is clarity and security for those we leave behind. So it's a lot to sort of take on board and saying this is what you need to have this overall element of financial well-being. But it's how you define it yourself.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's interesting. It's interesting how, the labels really that we get put on these things. I think really most people who want to be financially well organized, and to ensure that they never run out of money.
Yeah.
And I think with those sort of 2 concepts, it really encompasses most things. And you're right. Some people get things financially, and we've got PhDs as clients, and we've got people who've got no education as clients, and there's no correlation between understanding money and academic knowledge and experience. Same with net worth. We've got some extremely wealthy clients who are arguably not that savvy with money, and then we've got other people who don't have as much money, but damn, they're pretty good on it. They're hot on it, maybe because it's more important to them to accumulate it.
If you go back to what we were saying there about your perceptions about how the world works and your view of it are based on your experience, if you're in a job where you happen to earn 100k plus and you've got a good income, and you live within your means and so forth. Also, if your experience in the past is that you were brought up in a middle class family, or you had everything, you were very, very privileged, you might not have experienced what it's like to have no money, and so your perceptions of how money works and how finance works are very different. What things cost, that's very different. What you can afford. So everyone's will come at it from a different angle. But what I was going to say is that, as you mentioned there, it's the collective understanding of hundreds of clients that we've worked with, some that are very wealthy, some that are less, and you listen to them and you see how we know that it's not based on your level of education or intelligence as to how good your relationship with money is. So I got clients that have got multi-million pound portfolios, and yet they're terrified of markets, scared of losing it all, not prepared to spend it. They're savers, and that maybe that comes through age or experience. Others that are younger clients earn a reasonable income but don't have a lot and just spend it like it's going out of fashion, like they're going to die tomorrow. It's the James Dean lifestyle. It's like live for today. So
yeah, we have one of those clients, and I admire them in a way. To be fair, I can say a phrase. If she listens, she'll know it's her. I'm here for a good time, not a long time, she says. And yeah, I'm a guy who enjoys life. Okay, but I look at them and I think, wow, they really enjoy life. So yeah, it's interesting.
There are people who spend more than they probably should now, perhaps because they're trying to make up for something, perhaps because they're not happy. Perhaps, I mean, one of the things that is quite well known and is quite well is stated quite a lot is that money in itself doesn't make you happy, and the quality of your relationships is what matters most. I think that those are classed in the Institute of Financial Wellbeing course as universal truths, and I think most people probably accept that if you've just got a ton of money, this is evidenced by the fact that lottery winners, most of them either go bust or are very unhappy when they're interviewed, because their relationship with money changes so dramatically.
I don't disagree, but when you are fairly comfortable in your lifestyle, saying that is a little bit, it allows you to arrive at your problems in style, put it that way. I'd much rather have money than not have money.
I agree, absolutely agree. But at the same time, I don't, as I mentioned, it's not our job to try and definitively tell a client how to spend their money. In fact, in meetings, I say to them, look, my job is not to tell you, not to try and judge and look at your cash flow and your income and expenditure and say, oh, you're spending quite a lot on holidays. Look how much your entertainment bill is. But on the flip side, it is the job of an advisor to try and to establish what the goals and objectives are, and then to sort of say and observe through collective knowledge, educating clients on how money works, how investments work, how they should consider, how to think about money, and developing their relationship with money. I think that is a job of a quality financial planner, to improve their relationship with money.
Yeah, we genuinely spend most of our time getting our clients to enjoy their money, spend their money and things like that. It's because I think people spend their first sort of period of their working life scrimping and saving, putting money away, foregoing pleasures, and that then forms a habit of foregoing pleasures. And we like, okay, let's pay our mortgage down. Let's put more money into our pension. Let's, do this, put the kids through school. Let's forego those holidays. And then when they get to their period of their life when they are going to give up work, whether you call that retirement or not, they've got those habits so ingrained with them that they're sat on sometimes multi-million-pound portfolios, sometimes £100,000 portfolios, and they can't bloody spend it. Yeah. And I'm like, well, someone's going to spend it. It's either going to be you or your daughter-in-law or your son-in-law. Who's it going to be? Yeah.
Well,
it's like,
well, this is a more to the point about if you're going to accept the fact that you're not going to live forever, and you've got a certain pot of money, and you want to both enjoy it yourself without running out, and you want to gift monies away to your loved ones. It's just about getting the balance right, and that just means a discussion on the numbers and a discussion on how much you can realistically afford to withdraw. I mean, just today I received an email from a client in her early to mid 70s. Decided she wanted to draw £70,000 out to give to her grandchildren. It's taken her 6 to 12 months to make that decision. Thankfully, hers and her husband portfolio are up 95,000 in the last 12 months. So what I did was I emailed them and said, look, it's gone up quite a lot, 95 grand in the last 12 months net of all costs. Draw 70, no problem. Yes, we'll help you do that. But it's adding to the fact that I said to her, just make sure you show it as a gift. Put it on a gifting record. 6 grand of it will be 3 grand this year and 3,000 last year, your annual exemption. So that's outside of your estate on day one. The rest is a potentially exempt transfer. Anyway, it's just going through the hoops of and the steps of doing it in the right way. She'd accepted the fact that she's not going to spend all this money that she has, and her husband either, and they want to do something with it and get the enjoyment from watching their family, their grandchildren, do something with it, whether it's a holiday or pay for school fees or whatever it is, pay off
and that's why financial planning is the best profession in the world, because we get clients to, my phrase, live life by design, not default. Get them to really do the things that are important to them. And for this particular client, buying a new house, buying a new TV, having a flash of holiday is probably less important than helping that person they're going to give that money to. That gives them joy. And I say this to my client. We had a meeting this week with a couple of clients. They're delightful clients. I absolutely love spending time with them. And I was really trying to get them to enjoy their money, but they have contentment. They're very, very content. And I just said an analogy. I went to the opera with another couple of clients, and I just gave that analogy, and I saw their faces light up. And I went, where did that come from? I didn't know you liked opera. Oh, and they went off on a story about loving opera. When was the last time you went to an opera? And they couldn't remember. I was like, well, that's it.
Well,
that's
you have to challenge them, don't you? You have to hold them
thing.
Responsible to the objectives and the goals and the things they want to do. So you ask the right questions, find out what they want, and then challenge them to spend their money to do stuff with it. But that's the other part of financial well-being. Before we go through what I consider the 10 steps for tandems, how we define financial well-being, but it's considering behaviors. And humans aren't rational beings. Our emotions and our biases shape our decisions, and they can be barriers to our sense of well-being. So you have to understand yourself, your values, your purpose, and decide as the way that you're spending money, is that aligned with your values and your purposes? Is it,
100%, completely, 100%. That's the outcome for me. It's, let's live life according to our values. What's important to us? We have expression. We're physical beings run by our emotions, and sometimes we're irrational. We make stupid decisions. But it's what's really important to me. Let's try and focus on that.
The other thing is that we're bombarded now with advertising, with what I'm classed as money distractions, right? So we're constantly told by society that money is the most important thing, whether it's Dragon's Den or whether it's films like Wolf of Wall Street. And
good film.
It's a great film, yeah. But there's you see, when you go on all the social media outlets now, and you get the things like Facebook and Instagram are constantly adverts telling you should buy this, you should buy that. And it depends whether you're influenced by those things. It's very hard not to be.
Yeah.
But if you, a lot of people wear their wealth, they buy certain things because they feel society tells them they should, whether it's a fast car, expensive car, or whether it's, the latest bit of fashion, which is just branded and it's super expensive. And I think that it's not for me as the financial planner to tell the client which brand to wear. But if they did ask me, and I do get this question, can I afford this car? Not which model should I buy? I don't know. I'm a mechanic. I'm a car enthusiast a little bit, but I did have a client recently who rocked up in his BMW M5, and it was lovely. I always wanted to drive one. I've never driven an M5. It's 400 odd brake horsepower or more, 500, super quick. And then I looked through his cash flow, and it was costing him £1,000 a month just in finance alone, and plus he was paying for maintenance, repairs, and tax and MOT and all that sort of stuff. And depreciation as well on the car. You have to factor that in. So I'm looking at all of this, and I said, oh, it's an amazing car. I love that. I said, do you drive it a lot? And he was like, well, yeah, I work from home, so I drive it a bit. I was like, okay, so it's a 50 grand car, I think it was. It was second-hand, but it was still expensive. And I said, well, you're not contributing to ISAs, though, for your financial future, or your pension's not going. So long and short of it is, I'd said, you don't need this car. Sell it, I know it's nice, it's fun, but this is the barrier to you getting to where you want to be. So that was the discussion, and he did take my advice.
Good. For accumulators, we just basically have some kind of rules around that, about as long as you are saving and putting money away for the future, and we tend to try and allocate about 20%. What you spend your money on, as long as it's within reason, just enjoy it. Life's not a destination; it's a journey.
It is.
We used to look after an awful lot of martial arts instructors. You'd be surprised, martial arts instructors can earn an awful lot of money. But we fell out with a lot of them because they would rock up in their Ferraris and their Porsches. And we'd be like, you can't afford that, dude. You're going to run out of money. And they don't like to be told that. They got strong egos. So only the sensible lasted.
Yeah, definitely. So I mentioned the 5 points earlier of the Institute of Financial Wellbeing. The way that I've broken this down is the tandem 10 steps to financial well-being. So I'll mention these to you, and then we'll go through them, right? So number one for me.
Should we go through one at a time?
We'll go through one at a time, fairly speedily, just to go through them, because there are 10. But number one, I think the starting point is to get organized.
Yeah.
It's taking stock of where you are, getting together all your policies and papers, and putting your list down and creating a bit of a balance sheet, a fact find.
But you know why that's important?
I'm sure you'll tell me. Well, I know why it's important. Tell our listeners.
The reason it's important is because what's not out of your head stays in your head, and you can't be present. And the outcome really is to be present in the moment. This mindfulness push through society has a lot of credibility. Once you're present, once you are in the physical present moment, you're a lot more joyous, a lot more happiest. If you're thinking in your head about your will, your pension, your mortgage, you're going to be preoccupied with this information. So financial organization doesn't necessarily mean have a list for your expenditure. It's just have things organized, know where things are, and get it out of your head.
Yeah.
When I do coaching people, I get them to have a pen and paper and say, right, anything in your mind, just write down, get out of your head first, so you can be present.
Yeah, so that's the first part, and then the next bit is educate, or learn. Yeah. It's becoming familiar. You could do this yourself or with an advisor, but with the basic financial concepts to understand budgeting, tax planning, and a bit about protection and wills, and so to understand a bit about how markets work. And so you can only really make good decisions if someone's explaining to you how things work. So that's the educator.
I'll give that. That's true.
The third bit is your favorite: create a financial plan. It's devising a plan for the future. So how do you bring that with your clients? You say to them, "Oh yeah, I'm a financial planner. It's obvious." What do they think a financial plan is?
Well, to be fair, we do the planning with them. We don't describe it almost as a noun. Does that make sense? So it's not a thing. We do the planning with them. It's an experience. It's a process.
Yeah.
So we gather where they are now. We factor in all their desired future lifestyle, expenditure. So not just their current plan. So a good example, meeting with a young couple. One of the first questions is, do you hope to have a family?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. How many children might you hope to have? Let's put those in. And would you hope to privately educate them or put them through the state system? When they go to university, so you put these potential future expenditure items in the plan now because it's a plan for the future. And then you know how much you need to earn.
Yeah, definitely. The plan, though, for me, is the strategy. It is the roadmap. So you ask the questions about, what you want to achieve and what your objectives are and what your goals are and what financial independence means to you, what money means to you, all of these things. And then I think that, as you say, if the advisor's asking good questions and you're developing what is usually the outline initially of a plan to say, let's start, because you can't definitively project everything for the future perfectly. Instead, it's getting on the right track. And once you're on that track, you can change accordingly, but at least you're heading in the right direction.
I'll ask you a question we've not asked it. What do you find one of the things that people think they want in the future, but actually in reality when they get it, they don't? Do you have any experiences of people say they want this certain thing in a financial plan and then in reality they don't?
Let's have a think. The curveball there from Warren Shute. So in a meeting, clients, if we're talking about the future and what they want, it's more initially until I start talking to them about the monetary numbers, the figures. I think they can imagine what it's like to get to a point where they don't work, but a lot of them have got no idea as to what the figure is, what they need, how much that they actually need to make that work. It's mostly
clarity of the amount of money kind of thing.
Yeah, you'd think a lot of people would be able to do the maths, but it's not easy. So I've got clients that are incredibly intelligent, but just can't quite foresee and what's a realistic return to set. How does inflation impact my returns? How much should I aim to achieve for? If you don't even know the aim or what's realistically possible, then you only know that through a bit of experience. So if you're on £4,000 a month net now, and you say I want to retire in the future on the same amount, that's a big ask. It's more usually 50 to 60% of what you're currently on is more typical. What about you? What would your answer be to that then? What is
holiday homes?
Oh yeah,
holiday homes. Yeah, holiday homes.
I think they want one.
They do. They think they want one. They get it, and then they realize that they don't spend as much time there. When they're there, they're doing all the DIY, and they reverse the journey and stuff like that. And our suggestion to them is just to upgrade their home, make sure they've got a home they really enjoy spending their time in, and stay in really nice hotels. Stay in really nice hotels when you're away or whatever. Sometimes they're working in London, they want a place in London. I'm like, just stay in a really nice hotel.
Yeah, no,
just enjoy it.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. So number 4 was to budget, to create a cash flow. And I think that setting a realistic budget and sticking to it, at least initially, and understanding what comes in, what goes out, hugely important. Because if you don't get that right, you're not going to have financial well-being.
What sort of level of detail would you suggest someone does that on? Do you get clients to sort of tick off, okay, I've my gas this month, my electric this month, that kind of thing, miscellaneous spending?
No, I don't. I think that I would do it initially monthly from standing orders and direct debits, and saying what are my committed outgoings, and then work out what the approximate cost of food is as well, because that varies. Then I'd work it out over the course of I do all this net. What's my netting and what my net outgoings, and you can collate a lot of them together. Like you could just say council tax and bills, gas, electric, water, Netflix, Sky are this much, food is this much. A lot of it's discretionary, and a lot of people forget some of the outgoings, whether it's presents, birthdays, holidays, gifts, and ad hoc monies. And do
you suggest clients sort of like reconcile it there every month? Do you like? Okay,
no, God forbid, no. It's the worst thing ever to having to reconcile it monthly. You're not trying to be your own bookkeeper. And I definitely I've seen that before, where people are, trying to create an Excel spreadsheet monthly and putting everything into columns. I think that's an unhealthy relationship with money, because you should be able to mentally know that if X is coming in per month and Y is going out, if the difference is £2,000, for example, 1 month you spend the whole 2, next month you spend 1,000, the next month you spend 3,000. You've got to give yourself that bit of leeway to say, if I'm going to put it on a credit card, I've got to pay it off. But I think it's definitely unhealthy to get to a point where you're putting numbers in boxes every month. That means you're overthinking it.
Yeah, I agree.
So after you've learned how to budget, although it sounds a bit patronizing, it's a huge part of cash flow management, of financial planning, to learn how to do that. The next bit is to learn to manage debt, and this is not just the point of having credit card debt or loans or overdrafts. This is actually saying, understand what the impact of having too much debt is, because if you go and buy an expensive home with a massive mortgage that you can get, but actually the detriment to that is that you won't have the holidays, you won't have the surplus disposable income every month, because it's all going on debt. There's this term, living in the velvet gutter. I've got a lot of clients on in big bucks, big mortgage, kids at school fees, cars, holidays. They're actually not that wealthy. Their lifestyle costs are so exorbitant that it looks from the outside, oh, you're well off, you're rich, but actually, they've got too much debt. Too many commitments.
Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow. You come across that? Rich Dad?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
You'll talk about this.
Calls it the rat race.
It is.
Where you're going in the rat race, just keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, completely. How to manage the level of debt that you've got.
Yeah. So number 6 is...
Getting it paid off.
Yeah, definitely. So I think there's a balance there, isn't there, between overpaying debt and investing and spending. It's definitely a balancing act. And I think it's a healthy to give yourself an amount of money, spending money to have on whatever you want. Get the right amount saving into cash and invest. This is point 6, saving and investing, learning, knowing the difference. So saving to cash, investing in global equities and bonds. And, do you overpay your mortgage before you invest? We do get that discussion quite a lot with clients. The reality is it depends. It depends on what the rate is, what the circumstances are, what the size is, what the costs of refinancing are. But generally, I'm a big fan of overpaying debt as well as keeping the investments going. Keep regular payments, keep it going regardless.
So we kind of generally sort of allocate 50-50. Yeah. Okay, so it will depend on the individual. We got some particularly cautious clients who will sort of prioritize paying their debt down, their mortgage down, and we've got some particularly adventurous clients who understand debt very, very well and are happy to keep running. But it's a rule of thumb, 50-50 overpay the debt. Because I think paying down the debt is a guaranteed investment return.
Exactly.
And being debt-free makes you feel good. You own this home unencumbered and stuff.
Just had a chat 2 days with a client that's 57, 58. Mortgage is coming up for renewal next year. It's a fixed rate is coming off about 2.5%, going to probably go up to 4.5% plus or something horrible. So the SVR unless he refinances, and the outstanding balance is 221,000. And we had this discussion about, because markets have gone up quite a lot recently. We said, right, we're going to take some tax-free cash from the pension. We're going to pay it off, because the effect of doing that on his cash flow, the cost of this mortgage is £5,000 a month. If this client overpays the mortgage to zero, he's got that surplus cash flow, and that's A, going to make him feel really good. B, he's good because his debts, house is unencumbered. There's no charge on the house. Geeky fact for you: mortgage. What does it mean in Latin?
Is it like death of land or something?
It means death grip, mortgage, and the mortgage is the charge over the house, not the debt itself. Anyway, it was great because we're going to get it paid off. He's going to feel good about it, and then we're going to have this surplus income of which A, he'll enjoy some of it, and B, he'll continue to invest for another 3 or 4 years. So
yeah, it's paying debt down is a certainty. It builds your confidence. You've got that security there. But you're absolutely right. Investing is important because it makes you feel more optimistic. When you see your investments going up and you see your wealth increasing like that, it does make you feel better.
So that was point 6, save and invest. Number 7 is security, right? This is all about protection. And in the form of having life insurance, critical illness. We talked about it in a previous podcast about the types of protection. But if you've got various forms of protection in place, as well as a will and LPAs, if you've got that, the point is I think that improves your level of financial security, your financial well-being, because you know it's in place. Would you agree?
Yeah. 100%. I am evangelical about making sure wills, trusts, power of attorneys are in place. My son turned 18. One of the first things we got him to do is do a will, power of attorney, make sure they're in place. He's probably the only 18-year-old in the country with a power of attorney. But, things happen, bad things happen to good people.
Yeah.
And you get these things organized. If you're listening to this and you are a breadwinner, so you look after a family through your earnings, through your wealth and stuff, and they're going to be detrimentally worse off if you're not around, you've got a moral obligation really to make sure that there's some life insurance, some disability insurance in place to make sure that everyone left behind, they're going to be grieving.
Yeah.
You want to make sure at least they're financially, they're okay, they're comfortable.
Yeah. And as for our listeners as well, the 2 types of lasting power of attorney, this is if you lose capacity, not if you die, but you get health and welfare, property and finance, and it's about who's going to make those decisions for you if you're unable to make them yourself. And I find that, again, organised and clever clients I work with, they still haven't got round to setting up LPAs. You can do it yourself on the government's website. You can download the LPAs. You've got to register them with the Office of the Public Guardian and pay the £82 and so forth. But just get it done, get a will done, get some protection in place. Point 8 was financial resilience. And now we're getting into the terms that you perhaps don't like as much, Warren. But this was about understanding that bad things can happen. And it's the ability to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions, difficult situations like unexpected loss of income, sudden illness. Markets have a big financial correction in them as well. Building your resilience through education and knowledge over time.
I know. I think that's sensible. I like that. I think that's important. We spend a lot of time with our clients talking about what things can go wrong as opposed to what can go right. I'm much more happy with them understanding the bad times in the market, 2000, 2008, as opposed to the good times.
Yeah, definitely.
The good times will happen 75% of the time. It's the bad times I really want them to understand. And loss of income, disability, death, that kind of thing. 100% behind that. I think that's really important.
The last 2 before we go into our Q&A, our quotes and anecdotes section. The number 9 was the right mindset. And this was something that I think that you gain over time, not just working with an advisor, but through experience. But the idea is it encompasses your attitudes and beliefs, behaviors relating to money. And it also includes things like how financially literate you are, whether you've got positive money habits, your goal setting. And so it's a combination of all of these things, but it's about remaining disciplined and focused, and sticking to the plan regardless of what's thrown at you. So how do you talk to your clients about mindset in terms of money and financial well-being?
Well, I think habits are better than discipline. I'd much rather than get into a routine, take routine thought out of everyday action, get into a routine of just doing something. With regards to mindset and uncertainty of what's going to happen, how do I talk to them about that? I think really it's more of a case of going through the cash flow. We show the client the cash flow, no catastrophes. Then we look at different catastrophes, what might happen, premature death, premature disability, long-term care at the end.
It's covering those
losses.
what ifs, isn't it? It's saying this is part of the capacity for loss discussion as well. If this happens, if the markets fall by this much, how much is it going to railroad your plans? And you know, it comes over time through a bit of discipline. But I like what you're saying there about the habits, and I'm a big fan of that. Habits in terms of regular premiums, habits in terms of overpaying debt. Not to the point where you feel that you're just everything you do is surrounded by a decision to do with money. I mean, geez, you've got to have a bit of fun for sure, but the right mindset is definitely important. And then lastly, in my 10 points, if you like, to gain financial well-being, this is achieving financial freedom. And what I mean when I talk about this is having sufficient income so you decide whether you want to work or not, but it's also having control over what you do, control over your time, having that clarity, those choices, and having both flexibility and peace of mind. And it's kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know, the ultimate at the top is this transcendence, which is, I got to this point in my life where instead of I've ticked every box and I feel completely in control.
We talk to clients about either, particularly younger clients, I talk in schools and I sort of say, you can either go out into your career, in your workplace of earning so much money that you can do it for a fixed amount of time, and then you can go and choose what you want to do. So it's a short period of time, really give it 100%. Or you can find something you love where you go to work every day and it doesn't seem like work. Yeah. And you can just carry on doing it the rest of your life. And arguably the latter is better, because I've seen so many clients race for that retirement door, go out the door and think, oh, is this all it is? I'm now bored. I've got enough. I don't know who the guy says I've got enough, but I don't have enough to do.
Yeah.
I've had enough. I thought I had enough. I want something else to do.
It's the Mitch Anthony questions, isn't it? Have you had enough? Have you got enough? And have you got enough to do? The ultimate for me is the point here is this idea of delegating, right? So a client comes to you with problems to solve. You build a relationship, you build the trust. You tick all the boxes, ISA, pension, bond, pension, protection, wills, all the products in place, got everything. And you should get to a point where the client says, I just don't need to think or worry. For me, that's job done, where the client is not thinking about money and markets and stuff, because the more you think about it, the more emotional, more stressed you're going to get. All that leads to a poor sense of well-being, because you're just worried all the time. Financial freedom is getting to the point where you don't need to worry, because you're working with somebody, just whether you do it yourself or whether you work with a good financial planner, but someone's helping you with that thought process, those issues. You just say, well, you do that, so I don't have to worry. You worry for me.
Yeah. I think people always think about it, but I think you're right. Worry is the right thing to try and take off the table. I think we always think the more money you have, you kind of think, it's going to get you out of money worries. Well, you're still thinking about your money. You're still thinking about the tax consequences and this, that, and the other, and what's going to happen and stuff. So it's not utopia having more money. You just leave everything else behind. And that's why it's really important to have what you're doing here is a healthy mindset around finances.
And it requires ongoing support and reviews. It doesn't have to be annually. Ideally, it would be annually, but for some clients that I work with, it's biennially. So it's every 2 years. We have a meeting. Am I on track? Still chatting and Teams chats and Zoom chats, but a face-to-face meeting for some clients every 2 years, for others every year, and sometimes more often, where we're just checking if we're on track. Are we good? What else is on the agenda? Yeah. Let's get there. So,
and you know what? For some people, when a life event happens, is enough. When they're approaching retirement, or when they come into an inheritance, or sell their business or something, they might be savvy enough. We look at some of the accountant stuff; they kind of know what we do, but just have that coaching, that inspiration, that sort of clarity in mind, that opinion every time something significant sort of happens, comes around. Yeah. So. I don't know, Paul. I like it. I like what you've done there. I think it looks good.
Oh, thanks very much. So that's our sort of discussion today, our focal point on financial well-being. Let's sort of round it off and talk about a couple of quotes or anecdotes or any stories. Do you want to go first, Warren? Anything you wanted to say?
I will jump in first. I've got to say, when we were talking then, we talked about habits and stuff. It reminded me of a quote. I've got two for you today, two quotes. One that's just come to me during the podcast, and one that I messaged to my son this morning. And the first one is about habits. And I'd say it's our habits that make us, and it's our habits that break us. And I think that's a quote by a guy called Bill Phillips over in the States. But it's very much true on the basis of you form good habits, you're going to get good outcomes. Yeah. You're going to do that sort of thing. And the second one, I'm going to read it because I actually messaged it to my son this morning.
Go on then.
He's like, what are you doing in the gym again? You're in the gym. I said, Ollie, always work on yourself before you work for others. Otherwise, you'll never get better, and they will. And I did that. I said that to him. I thought, you know what? That's all right. That's pretty good. I was quite proud of that quote this morning.
Very impressed. Very good. Very good.
Go on. Show me yours.
So I thought you said you were in the gym then. I was confused because I thought that's not going to happen.
No, I was in the gym. Come on. You told me I looked big the other day, so I'm now in the gym.
Did I? I didn't. I would never use that word. There was too many
not.
cameras on you. That's what it was. That's £10. £10 per camera. How many cameras are on you? So I've got two quick quotes for you and for our listeners. Number one is this: spend your money on the things money can buy. Spend your time on the things money can't buy. That's by Haruki Murakami.
I like that. Spend your time, yeah.
And then you mentioned this author earlier on, Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is a pretty good book. But he said, more important than how we achieve financial freedom is the why. Find your reasons why you want to be free and wealthy.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely. It's a journey. And often for most people, it's a long journey. And at the beginning, it's very, very tough. You know, I had this conversation with my son. You know, when you I'm going through it again, but when you plant that seed, you don't see anything happening. It's only when your capital starts appreciating in value quite high. So yeah, I like that. It's very good.
Very good. Right. Well, thanks for chatting to me today about financial well-being. Hopefully, we've all learned something today. Do you want to sign us off, Warren?
I will. Okay. Well, it's a wrap. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe to our show. Please leave a comment or any questions you might have, and we'll look at them and answer them in a future episode. Thank you so much once again for joining us. It's bye from me.
See you guys. See you in the next one. Bye now.
Thank you for joining us for today's discussion. If you're enjoying this show, please subscribe to our podcast. It's a great way to support us. If you have questions or comments about this podcast or topics you'd like to suggest for the show, please put these in the comments section on YouTube. We promise to read them and get back to you. If you're not already following us on social media, we are on X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram. You can find the links in the show notes. This show is designed to be informational only and does not constitute investment or financial advice. Please contact a regulated financial advisor before and taking any specific action.